Think Phoenix's real estate is bulletproof? Think again. Behind the desert paradise and endless subdivisions, 10 specific neighborhoods are heading straight for a housing crash in 2025. Insurance costs have exploded by 70%, water restrictions are tightening, and inventory is piling up fast. Your dream home could become a financial nightmare. Which neighborhoods are cracking first? Stick around as we count down the 10 Phoenix areas where the housing market is about to implode. This isn't just a market dip, it's a full-scale correction that could reshape the entire Valley of the Sun. Starting with number 10, a former luxury haven where wildfire insurance is making million-dollar homes unsellable. Ahwatukee foothills, once the crown jewel of Phoenix's luxury market, is now ground zero for Arizona's housing reality check. This upscale community that attracted wealthy retirees and executives with its mountain views and gated neighborhoods has hit a wall that money can't climb over. Let's talk numbers that'll make your head spin. According to Arizona State University's housing analysis, Ahwatukee home prices are sitting 35% above sustainable levels. That's not just overvalued, that's bubble territory. Homes that were fetching $800,000 in 2023 are now struggling to attract buyers at $700,000. But here's the kicker that's really spooking potential owners. Wildfire insurance premiums have absolutely exploded. We're talking about a 70% jump in 2024 alone. Homeowners who were paying $3,000 annually for coverage are now facing bills over $5,000, and some insurers have pulled out of the area entirely. When you're looking at nearly $500,000 for a home, plus $5,000 a year just to protect it from fire, the math gets ugly fast. The market is responding exactly how you'd expect. Housing inventory has shot up 90% year over year, with homes now sitting on the market for 65 days or more. That's a dramatic shift from the bidding wars just 2 years ago. High-end buyers aren't just being cautious, they're running. Climate risk awareness is changing everything, and Ahwatukee's proximity to desert mountains is no longer seen as a selling point. While Ahwatukee battles fire insurance nightmares, another Phoenix neighborhood is drowning in a completely different crisis that's hitting working families where it hurts most. Maryvale is where the American dream goes to die in 2025. This working-class neighborhood on Phoenix's west side has become the poster child for everything that's broken about today's housing market. We're talking about a community where hard-working families are being priced out of their own backyards. Here's the math that'll break your heart. The median household income in Maryvale sits at $45,000 a year. Sounds reasonable, right? Now consider that the median home price has climbed to $320,000. That's more than 7 times the annual income. Financial experts recommend spending no more than 3 times your income on housing, so you can see the problem. But wait, it gets worse. 40% of current home listings in Maryvale are investor-owned properties. These aren't families looking to put down roots. They're corporate landlords and flippers who swooped in during the pandemic boom. Now they're dumping inventory as fast as they can, flooding the market with homes that locals still can't afford, even at reduced prices. Crime statistics aren't helping buyer confidence either. Property crime rates increased 12% in 2024, making potential homeowners think twice about investing in the area. Meanwhile, local manufacturing jobs that once provided stable middle-class incomes are disappearing. 3 major employers have downsized operations in the past 18 months, leaving fewer good-paying jobs for residents who might otherwise qualify for mortgages. The combination of investor panic selling and local economic decline is creating a perfect storm that's about to get much worse. Speaking of storms, our next neighborhood is facing a crisis that's literally flowing through their streets. Laveen Village proves that growing too fast can kill you just as quickly as not growing at all. This South Phoenix community went from rural farmland to suburban sprawl in what feels like 5 minutes, and now it's paying the price for that breakneck expansion. Builders absolutely flooded this market in 2024. We're talking about more than 2,000 new homes hitting the streets in a single year. That's roughly 6 new houses every single day, 7 days a week. When you dump that much inventory into any neighborhood, prices have nowhere to go but down. But here's where it gets really ugly. All those shiny new subdivisions are sitting miles away from Phoenix's water treatment facilities. And guess who's paying for that distance? You are, if you're foolish enough to buy here, Water delivery costs have skyrocketed by 45%, adding hundreds of dollars to monthly utility bills that buyers never saw coming. The infrastructure nightmare doesn't stop there. Schools are bursting at the seams with overcrowding that's scaring away the families this community was supposedly built for. When parents see 40 kids crammed into classrooms designed for 25, they start looking elsewhere fast. Builders know they're in trouble. They're throwing incentives at potential buyers like confetti at a parade. Free upgrades, closing cost credits, rate buy-downs, even cash bonuses. When developers are this desperate to move inventory, you know the market is heading south. But if you think Laveen's growing pains are bad, wait until you see what happens when the very air you breathe becomes a liability. South Mountain Village is discovering that you can't build a community next to an industrial corridor and expect property values to thrive forever. This neighborhood sits uncomfortably close to Phoenix's heavy manufacturing zone, and the chickens are finally coming home to roost in 2025. Air quality here tells a story that real estate agents would rather not discuss. The nearby industrial corridor pumps out emissions that regularly push air quality readings into unhealthy ranges, especially during summer months when inversions trap pollutants close to the ground. You might save money on the house, but you'll pay with your lungs. Even worse, soil contamination concerns are surfacing in several subdivisions. Environmental testing has revealed elevated levels of industrial chemicals in areas where homes were built on former manufacturing sites. When potential buyers hear words like soil remediation and environmental liability, they run faster than roadrunners in the desert. Property values are responding exactly as you'd expect. We're seeing month-over-month declines of 3 to 5%, which might not sound dramatic until you realize that means a $300,000 home loses $15,000 in value every quarter. That's not market correction, that's free fall. Insurance companies have caught on too. Environmental liability premiums are climbing as insurers realize they might be on the hook for health claims and property damage related to industrial contamination. Some carriers are simply refusing to write new policies in affected areas. The toxic combination of air quality issues and soil problems is creating a neighborhood that's becoming uninhabitable and uninvestable. But South Mountain's pollution problems seem almost manageable compared to what's happening in communities where basic resources are disappearing entirely. Desert Ridge was supposed to be Phoenix's answer to master plan living, complete with golf courses, upscale shopping, and manicured landscapes that scream success. But in 2025, this North Phoenix community is learning that desert living and water-intensive amenities don't mix when drought becomes the new normal. The golf course closures tell the whole story. What was once the crown jewel of Desert Ridge has become a brown, dead liability that's dragging down property values across the entire community. Homes that backed up to lush fairways are now staring at acres of dirt and dying grass. Would you pay premium prices for a view of wasteland? Homeowners are getting crushed by the financial reality of maintaining a luxury lifestyle in a water-scarce environment. HOA fees have exploded past $400 monthly as associations struggle to keep common areas alive and infrastructure functioning. That's nearly $5,000 a year just for the privilege of living in a community that's slowly dying of thirst. The commercial district that once anchored the neighborhood is hemorrhaging tenants. Vacancy rates have hit 25% as businesses realize that customers aren't coming to shop in a half-empty development. When your neighborhood shopping center looks like a ghost town, property values follow right behind. But wait, there's more financial pain coming. Homeowners are facing special assessments for aging infrastructure repairs that weren't budgeted when times were good. We're talking about surprise bills of thousands of dollars for residents who thought their HOA fees covered everything. Desert Ridge proves that master plan doesn't mean master prepared for climate reality. While this community drowns in water costs and financial obligations, another Phoenix neighborhood is dealing with actual water problems that make Desert Ridge look like a minor inconvenience. Moon Valley is where Phoenix's past is becoming a very expensive problem in the present. This established neighborhood north of the city built its reputation on solid homes and mature trees. But those houses from the 1960s and 70s are now showing their age in ways that are scaring off buyers and crushing longtime residents. Here's the reality check that's hitting homeowners like a sledgehammer. Most of these homes need major system updates that can cost $30,000 to $50,000. We're talking about electrical panels, plumbing, HVAC systems, and roofs that are all reaching the end of their useful life at the same time. When a home inspector finds original wiring from 1968, buyers either walk away or demand massive price concessions. But the infrastructure problems are just the beginning. New FEMA flood maps have redesignated large portions of Moon Valley as flood zones, meaning homeowners who never needed flood insurance before are now facing mandatory premiums of $2,000 to $4,000 annually. That's a surprise expense that many longtime residents simply can't afford on fixed incomes. Property tax reassessments are delivering another financial gut punch. As surrounding areas have gentrified, Moon Valley homes are being valued higher, even though they're functionally obsolete. Seniors who bought their homes for $40,000 decades ago are now getting tax bills based on assessments over $300,000. Younger buyers aren't interested in buying someone else's problems. They're choosing newer developments where everything works and nothing needs immediate replacement. When your target market disappears, your property values follow right behind. Moon Valley's slow-motion crisis of aging infrastructure and climbing costs stands in stark contrast to neighborhoods where too much new construction is creating entirely different headaches. Estrella Mountain Ranch represents everything that can go wrong when developers build faster than demand can follow. This master-planned community in Southwest Phoenix promised resort-style living, but in 2025, it's delivering resort-style financial losses to anyone brave enough to buy there. Builder inventory has reached an 18-month high, and that's not a typo. We're talking about enough unsold homes to supply the market for a year and a half without building a single new house. When builders get that desperate, price cuts become inevitable. The average reduction is running 8%, which means a $400,000 home is now priced at $368,000 and still sitting empty. Those resort amenities that look so attractive in the sales brochures are becoming financial anchors. Golf courses, pools, and clubhouses cost serious money to maintain, and with fewer buyers to spread those costs among, HOA fees are climbing toward unsustainable levels. Who wants to pay resort prices for amenities in a half-empty community? Distance is killing this neighborhood's appeal. Estrella sits 25 miles from central Phoenix job centers, and with gas prices staying elevated, that daily commute is eating into family budgets. Remote work was supposed to solve the distance problem, but as companies call workers back to offices, that 40-minute drive each way is becoming a deal breaker. Property tax rates are adding insult to injury. The rapid infrastructure expansion needed to support all this new construction has to be paid for somehow. And guess who's footing the bill? New homeowners are discovering that their property taxes are significantly higher than advertised. Estrella's sprawling development and commuter challenges seem manageable compared to communities where basic connectivity to the outside world becomes a daily struggle. New River takes isolation to a whole new level that's making it nearly impossible to sell homes in 2025. This remote community north of Phoenix promised affordable desert living, but buyers are discovering that cheap land comes with expensive problems that no one warned them about. Well, water issues are creating insurance nightmares that most buyers never see coming. Many properties rely on private wells that are showing contamination from agricultural runoff and naturally occurring minerals. When insurance companies can't guarantee water quality or supply reliability, they either refuse coverage entirely or charge premiums that make the homes unaffordable. Try explaining to your lender why you can't get homeowners insurance because of your water source. Internet connectivity is another deal killer in our digital age. Large portions of New River still struggle with dial-up speeds or spotty satellite service that makes remote work impossible. When your Zoom calls keep dropping and file uploads take hours, that affordable home price starts looking like a very expensive mistake. But here's the real kicker that's keeping buyers away. New River has essentially one main access road, and during rush hour or emergencies, residents can be trapped for hours. Fire department response times average over 20 minutes, which insurance companies factor into their risk assessments and premium calculations. Property appreciation has stagnated because isolation limits your buyer pool to people who don't mind being cut off from civilization. When only a tiny fraction of potential buyers will even consider your neighborhood, property values have nowhere to go but sideways or down. New River proves that sometimes affordable means unlivable. But our next neighborhood shows how even expensive areas can crash when market fundamentals shift beneath premium price tags. Paradise Valley Village is learning that even paradise has a price ceiling. And in 2025, that ceiling is coming down hard on owners who bought at the peak. This North Phoenix community rode the pandemic housing wave higher than almost anywhere else in the valley. But gravity is a harsh teacher when it comes to overvalued real estate. The numbers tell a sobering story of speculation gone wrong. Home values in Paradise Valley Village peaked at 45% above historical norms during the buying frenzy of 2022 and 2023, when houses that should cost $400,000 are selling for $600,000. You're not looking at appreciation, you're looking at a bubble waiting to burst. The luxury market here has hit a wall that money can't climb over. We're talking about 6 months or more of inventory sitting on the market, which is devastating for sellers who thought their homes were gold mines. Properties that once sold in bidding wars are now getting price cuts and still attracting zero offers. Property taxes are crushing homeowners who thought they were set for life. Assessments have jumped 30% in just 2 years as Maricopa County caught up with inflated market values. Residents who were paying $4,000 annually in property taxes are now facing bills over $5,000, and that's before the next reassessment cycle hits. The rental market is collapsing as investors flee en masse. Landlords who bought at peak prices are discovering they can't charge enough rent to cover their mortgages, forcing them to sell at losses that are dragging down the entire neighborhood's values. Paradise Valley Village's luxury market meltdown sets the stage perfectly for our final neighborhood, where speculation and international money created the most dramatic housing bubble in all of Phoenix. Camelback East Village represents the absolute pinnacle of Phoenix's housing bubble, and in 2025, it's experiencing the most spectacular crash in the entire metropolitan area. This upscale enclave near Camelback Mountain attracted international investors and luxury buyers who thought desert real estate could only go up. They were catastrophically wrong. Investment properties are being dumped at 12 to 15% losses, and we're talking about million-dollar condos that investors are happy to unload for $850,000 just to escape. When people are willing to lose 6 figures on a single property, you know panic has set in. These aren't strategic sales, they're financial surrenders. The luxury condo market has completely frozen with properties averaging over 90 days on the market. Units that once sold in weeks are now collecting dust while sellers slash prices month after month. High-end buyers have vanished, leaving sellers staring at empty open houses and mounting carrying costs. International buyers who once drove demand here have retreated to safer investments. Economic uncertainty in China and Europe has dried up the foreign cash that inflated this market beyond all reason. When your buyer pool shrinks to local residents who can't afford 7-figure condos, your market dies. But here's the final nail in the coffin. Major building assessments for structural repairs and system upgrades are shocking condo owners with surprise bills of $20,000 to $40,000. Many owners are choosing to sell rather than pay assessments that equal a luxury car payment, flooding an already saturated market with desperate sellers. Camelback East Village proves that when speculation meets reality in real estate, gravity always wins. The higher you climb, the harder you fall.